Old Dominion playing Virginia in the Columbia Regional. UC Irvine will look to top 7th-ranked Stanford, and at 9 p.m., LSU and Oregon square off in Eugene. There are 4 teams left in the Women's College World Series. James Madison and Oklahoma get us going today at 3, with Florida State and Alabama to follow around 6 p.m. In the NBA playoffs yesterday, the Hawks topped the number 1 seed in the East, the Philadelphia 76ers, to take a 1-0 series lead. Trae Young dropped 35 points in Atlanta's win. In the deciding Game 7, Luka Doncic scored 46 points, but it still wasn't enough for the Mavs to move on, as they lost to the Clippers 126-111. For all your latest sports news and updates, keep it tuned right here to 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
And here we go.
You're in the Recruiting Hour on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
You're the 2 o'clock.
Yes, I am.
Here are your hosts, Mike Schaefer and Connor Happer. Brought to you by Bubbles and Blocks.
Welcome into the Recruiting Hour. Mike Schaefer, Connor Happer here on 93.7 The Ticket. And holy heck, was that a weekend.
Let's go.
Lots and lots and lots of things happened between, Thursday and then last night at about, 11?
Closer to midnight, yeah.
Yeah. No, they were done.
Oh, were they?
They were done by about 11. Because it was under 3 hours. It was actually kind of a quick game relative to what Saturday night was. Saturday night was a long game.
Oh, I guess I just counted by when I was up until, but there was the whole Zoom thing afterwards and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, awesome.
Well, and I found myself bouncing around watching other regional games and just confused by Vanderbilt's military unit. Like Vanderbilt baseball is akin to Oregon football, in which they have all of these different uniforms. And some of them work really well. And some of them look like they are like cosplaying military television shows from the 50s. And that's what it was last night. But it didn't matter. They ended up winning like 13-9 or 14-9. I don't even know. It was an interesting game for a little bit. And when you're Vanderbilt, you have a wider margin for error. But let's just dive into all of it. So today's show, we're going to spend the first little bit talking about Nebraska baseball. And then, of course, there was a lot of recruiting stuff going on. There was a Friday Night Lights camp on Friday. Nebraska is already up to 3 offers of individual workouts. So if we set the number at 3.5 and they almost went over in the first weekend. So that tells you that we shouldn't be odds makers.
Yeah.
We are no good. Don't listen to us unless you want that plus 1,000 on Jock Hedgiant. You know, that looks
still out there.
Still. That has not come down. Maybe it should. But there was just a lot going on. Nebraska had their visitors. Tyreek Johnson was in last week as well. So there's no shortage of things to discuss. And then last night, Nebraska was actually, as the game was going on, they were making offers at a Florida State camp. They were making offers at an SMU camp. They were down there and watched Richard Torres work out for the first time in person. So there was just a lot happening in the college football world and certainly in Nebraska's sphere of it as well. So we will dive into that on the show too. But we should start with the most important story, which will be today's opening splash. Brought to you, of course, by our friends over at the Pawnee Plunge. It was hot as Hades this weekend, and it would have been a great time to get to the Pawnee Plunge and enjoy Nebraska's premier water park, which you can find in Columbus. The big story this weekend is I successfully used a smoker for the first time.
All right.
And I am now on team smoked meats. I mean, I was before, but I was always on the part of the team where you just ate it. You didn't actually have to do any of the work. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to dwell on this because, again, we have a lot of stuff going on. I am fascinated by how just varied cook times are for things, because it's like you go online, it's like, oh, I'm going to cook a pork butt. This site says it's 1 hour for every pound. This site says it's 2 hours for every pound. Let's be on the safe side. Let's do 2 hours for every pound. Go to pull it out because I don't yet have the probe that you can check on your phone, which is going to be one of my next 2 purchases.
Pretty important.
And the meat thermometer is like, no, we're not ready yet. You got to go back in. Pulled it out another hour and a half after that. And it's like, nope, got to go back in. So I learned that you have to be more patient than I was willing to be. And I had already budgeted like 8 hours worth of time, and it ended up being more closer to 10.
People make it out to be a science. It's more of an art. I would say.
It is definitely a feel.
Mhm.
Like you know, and I will also say this, the smell that hits you the first time you open that thing up after, for me, it was 7.5 hours yesterday, was incredible.
Yeah, it just really hits you.
Just incredible.
It
and
smokes you, if you will.
Right. It does. And then your clothes smell all smoky, which isn't the worst thing.
Nah.
I was a little disappointed. So I did a pork butt. We did pulled pork. It was served in between Nebraska's first win and its second win. I was a little disappointed that my meat didn't have as much of that flavor to it as like the smell that was manifesting in there. So I think what people have said is it really kind of depends on what wood chips you use, all of that kind of stuff. So, but again, just excited to be on team meat smoking. So,
trial and error a little bit.
Yeah. What have you all done so far?
I'm early in the stages too. I did a rack of ribs a couple weekends ago, and then I did a brisket before that.
The brisket is like that's an overnighter. You have to put a little bit more time in that, right?
I did it during the day.
Okay.
I did it but it's just a time thing.
Yeah.
How much time you have? I was gonna have it for dinner. So.
And you have the pellet smoker, is that right?
No, I have it's just a propane grill basically that has a smoking, it has a couple different features on it that you could use. That's cool. That's the whole deal.
Very nice. So
it's a one-stop shop.
Yeah. Well, if people have suggestions for me, and we'll read through those at the end of the show. Also, good day. If you do have questions, we should have some time at the end, and we can grab some of those or certainly carry it over into Tuesday's show as well. So Sutter Heyman text line 402-464-5685. Well, I was busy smoking meats on Sunday. Happer was driving back from his first experience in Fayetteville.
That's right.
How was it?
I love how seriously they take baseball, and it's really, you walk around the town, in the campus, and it is not about Arkansas University. It's not about Arkansas football. It's about Arkansas baseball. Like they have, that's what all the merchandise is, Do you
think it'd be different if you went in like January versus, you were there during a regional that they were hosting?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They're sports crazy. They don't get brought up as much because their teams haven't been as successful, but I've always heard that about Arkansas regardless of sport.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's hard. They don't have exactly a great football program. Basketball's coming up a little bit here. But
Musselman.
That's a different, type of environment. Yeah. I mean, they really, really are all about baseball. They make the home field advantage really noticeable, all that stuff. Fayetteville is in town.
Just an eh.
It's a pass, actually.
It's a pass.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you get to the catfish hole?
I did not.
You promised us catfish hole.
I did. We ended up going to a burger.
Hugo's?
Yeah, for lunch. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nice. I
On
saw
Saturday.
your dinner companion.
Yeah, Baz.
He looks very creepy in that photo.
I don't know why. I didn't really notice until afterwards, but apparently the light in there was red for some reason. And
for some reason,
I didn't notice that until I took a picture. I was like, actually, you look kind of creepy. I don't like this.
Yeah, it's not a pleasant. It's not a pleasant experience at all. So
yeah, no, I mean, it's fine. It's fine. I thought it was a pretty normal college campus. I don't think that much would differentiate it from what we have here, with the exception of the sorority houses. Those things are out of control.
Yeah.
They're like mansions, well manicured lawns, and
it's the South, man.
Huge. Yeah. But not the frat. The frat houses were normal. The sorority houses were out of control. But I walked through campus. There's a couple cool things, but I don't know. I didn't think it was that, I think it was that notable, to be honest with you. Same with Fayetteville as a town. It's fine.
All right. Well, I don't know whenever I'm going to get to Fayetteville. It, won't be this weekend if Nebraska advances. I don't know that I will be able to make it over there. But would you go back?
Yeah, I'd go back to watch baseball.
Let's say Nebraska wins this weekend. They're playing in Fayetteville.
Absolutely.
Are you going to be just making that trip again?
I think so. It's easy enough.
Yeah.
Just a straight shot.
How long of a drive was it for you?
Just 6+.
Nice. And you stopped in Kansas City for barbecue, I'm sure. Both ways?
Just coming back.
Okay.
I was too early going down there.
Ah.
Got to Kansas City like 9 on.
You couldn't
Friday.
find a barbecue breakfast joint in Kansas City?
I just
that needs to be a thing.
I just held
Barbecue
out.
brunch.
I just held out for lunch and I had Whataburger.
Fair enough. And I saw that. That was nice. We have Mike on the line, and let's just go ahead and get to him. I don't want to keep him waiting. And he has a question about name, image, and likeness. So we're gonna grab that because actually a couple recruits talked about this as well. So we'll switch it up a little bit. Mike, what's going on?
Not much. Hey, one other difference between Lincoln and Fayetteville is we don't have to listen to that really long woo big sewage here. So that's one for our side.
No doubt.
Can you guys tell me? I talked to someone in the media months ago, and he disagreed with me. And I know I think like a dinosaur because I am a dinosaur, but I think Nebraska will do well. We're one step ahead of most people, although in a marathon, the first 100 yards don't mean a lot. But, I know Nebraska gets behind their athletes, and so you'll see a lot of people, using them for advertising. And I know, on the internet, all that stuff, Twitter and everything, they can make money on that and blogs and stuff. But to me, one negative towards Nebraska is we're just so small, even if most people get behind it. And here's one example, and you guys tell me where I'm wrong. So the Lincoln Journal-Star pays Adrian Martinez full-page ad. Come read about the Huskers on Sunday. Subscribe to the Sunday Journal-Star. Well, due to their circulation numbers, they only have so much money they can pay. They can't justify paying an inordinate amount. But if you had Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart and USC's going, the Los Angeles Times, and put one of those guys on the full page ad, say, hey, subscribe to our Sunday paper, read about the Trojans, just do their probably 20 times subscription numbers. They can afford to give a lot more money paying these guys. And he disagreed with me, but can you tell me where I'm wrong? Because to me, with our low population, it'll help having everyone getting on board. But still, 8 million people versus 1.9 is a big difference.
Sure.
Thanks,
Mike.
Yeah, so to start with kind of the example of Adrian in Lincoln versus athletes in Los Angeles, I think it's worth at least noting that if it was that profitable for businesses to use Los Angeles athletes, they wouldn't resort to using USC football players. Like, it would be Kyle Kuzma or whatever Laker they could afford. It would be, it would be one of the other teams there. I mean, that's the thing about Nebraska that separates itself in an NIL conversation is it's a place in which there's one team.
Mm-hmm.
So people really care about the sports here more than, they would in Denver. People in Denver aren't going to care about Colorado football. Denver businesses are going to try to get Broncos or Rockies or Avalanche players or the Western Conference semifinals Denver Nuggets players or whoever. I mean, that's the thing. Like when you get to the markets where the quote unquote money is, they already have people that they are soliciting for these advertising. And so it's not the competition there isn't Nebraska. The competition for a kid in LA would be the Lakers or the Dodgers or the Rams, just like in Denver. And, so that's the difference. The other thing, and we're going to have plenty of time to go over all of these different things. There's different rules with this. Like Adrian Martinez can't reference Nebraska or the Huskers or Nebraska Cornhuskers football. Like those have to be separate. His image can be used. Adrian can be wearing a red shirt and holding a football, but he can't say Huskers or Nebraska in the advertisement. But he can basically tell you that it's a touchdown to open up an account with First National Bank.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the sort of stuff that he can do. Yeah, that was on the fly. If First National Bank is looking for a freelance advertiser, I can write slogans for you.
Connor Culp could say it's a field goal, or
it's through the upright.
It's as easy as kicking an extra point.
Did your truck get jacked and you need a new loan? Visit First National Bank today. Yeah. So I mean, there's different ways to go about these things, but I think the thing with Nebraska that's going to stand out is that it matters here in Lincoln and Omaha. I mean, you're what you're going to have is the same businesses, the same, Amigos, Pepsi, Runza, First National Bank, Pinnacle Bank, like Hogemeyer Seeds, like all of the things that you hear already on the network. They're going to be the ones that are going to have these athletes come and talk or be pitch people or be in the advertisements because they're already invested in the program and the athletic success of all of it. And so this just allows the athletes to then make money off of it. You're not going to get that in Los Angeles. You're not, like if you go to there's businessmen that care about USC football, but it's not at the same level. And yes, I mean, there's more money in LA than there is in Lincoln and Omaha. Absolutely. But there's also a lot of people who do not care.
That's right.
About USC football because there's also UCLA football and there's also, all these other things.
Yeah. It doesn't have the same effect there. I mean,
if you're talking Alabama, if you're talking trying to recruit a kid out of the South and using Texas versus Nebraska as an example, okay. Like that's a little bit more in tune with it, but they already have those inherent advantages. That's what I don't get about it. Like it's not worse for Nebraska. It's just the teams that already have advantages because of their fan base, like a Nebraska, get to utilize it more.
Capitalize on it.
And, when you're pitching a kid in Miami to leave everything to come to Lincoln, and you can basically say to him, hey, if you get here and you're successful and businesses are going to be interested, you can make a little extra money off of this.
Yeah.
And so the reason I wanted to take that phone call, what I did, and we'll adjust. We'll talk baseball when we come back from the break, and we'll just go right into recruiting right now. Richard Torres was asked about this, in an interview that he did at a camp last night. And he basically said, like, yeah, Nebraska's pitching the NIL thing, and it's really cool, but that's not why I'm going to pick a school. That's not, that's not everything. That's a bonus portion to the package that Nebraska already wants to offer.
Yeah, I'd say it's equivalent in the recruiting process or as it pertains to what schools are selling you to, let's use USC or UCLA as an example since Mike brought it up. It's the periphery stuff. We have a beach and it's great weather all the time. And I mean, you should come here because you want to play football here and you want to play for USC or UCLA, but also here's a sweet little bonus. Like there's an ocean, it's great. Nebraska doesn't have that to offer, but they do have now something else where, and this has always been the case, but they could stamp it a little harder. And it's when you come here, you are known. Your face is out there. People know who you are. You could be the third, the second, third running back, the fourth linebacker, whatever it is. People know who you are. And that's a draw, that's something where Nebraska can continue to punch that home a little bit. So you're right. I think we've gotten a little, this is going to swing all these things. It's just another thing that Nebraska can accentuate.
Yeah. And then the hidden component on all of this and where Open Doors is going to have its largest amount of value, in my opinion, is connecting people who are already good at social media or already have a large social media following, which is generally your athletes in a place like Nebraska, and connecting them with outside vendors who want to utilize that and use them as social media influencers
directly to the people.
So that's where Alexi Sun and her, she has the largest following of any Nebraska athlete. She would be incredibly attractive to all of these businesses because of that following. Mm-hmm. And so she could potentially be an influencer for pick a brand, pick a product. Yep. I mean, so it works in that route as well. It doesn't have to be just tethered to the Lincoln or Omaha community. It can also work in the social media world as well. Yeah, and then
a lot of times, if you notice, a lot of times when the athletes graduate, the first thing that they'll do is whether it's sell some of their gear or go do an autograph signing.
The autograph shows, yeah.
The autograph signing is one of the first things that happens right after they're done. They play their final game 2 weeks later. It's like, hey, check it out. It's an autograph signing. That's just going to be happening now while they're on campus, while the iron's hot. And I think that's why NIL exists, so the players can capitalize not only when they're out of school and all that stuff, but while they're here and while their brand is the shiniest.
Yeah, and it's going to take some while, a little while to normalize. Like there's going to be some instances where a kid goes somewhere and felt like he was going to be an immediate contributor and is worried about his overall brand and yada, yada, yada. That's going to happen. People have to prepare themselves for it. But ultimately, one, it's not your concern. And two, if they're producing in the sport of which they're choosing to play in, they will get the full effect of what Nebraska can do for NIL.
That's right.
Take the baseball team, for example. Spencer Schwellenbach couldn't be more searched in the state of Nebraska in terms of like just an athlete's name right now. Jackson Hall, like all of these guys, like the thing about some of these Nebraska sports, everyone largely knows who the football players are because there's a larger investment at the onset for football. But with sports like volleyball and with baseball, people come into it at the end. Like they're not necessarily there in March, but then they're trying to figure out who these people are. And then their popularity grows. And you have a weekend like this one, someone like Spencer Schwellenbach, however it ends for Nebraska, comes back to Lincoln, waits for the draft, and has like an autograph show. You're going to have a ton of people show up for that. Like I just think there's so many different ways that this thing is going to play out. I feel like there's a lot of doom and gloom from various people.
No doubt.
And I just feel like it's all largely oversold. I mean, a lot of this stuff is already sort of happening under the table. You're just bringing it to light. You're removing places that have like no show jobs for the summer in the SEC. So these guys can go to football camp, get paid, and not have to worry about anything. And lo and behold, I wouldn't be surprised if it happened somewhere locally as well. So I just think you're trying to make it easier to accommodate people before they go into the professional realm if they're able to make it there. So, and like I said, it comes up in recruiting. Nebraska is going to use that as a pitch. Another big thing that came out of this weekend, and this isn't remotely a surprise, but when Jalen Marshall, I talked with him and he's like, yeah, I mean, we're going through the facilities, which I already really liked. And then they're like, oh yeah, at the end of your freshman year, if you were to come here, we're going to have the best facilities in the country because we're spending $155 million to basically build it. And this was a thing that they had hoped to have done before these guys would have even been on campus. And now the timeline is a little bit different, but ultimately that's going to be a big part of the pitch for Nebraska. And so you're going to hear a lot about facilities, whether it's from people like me talking about recruits or from the recruits themselves when we have them on, shows like this or, in whatever stories you read. Like that's become an even larger version of Nebraska's pitch because the reality of it is so much closer now that the groundbreaking has started and that they're moving in this direction. And so I think you're going to see a lot of that. It was a good weekend for Nebraska. They had all of those visitors in town. We can run through some of them, and they had Friday Night Lights as well, which if anybody was there and they want to let us know how they thought Friday Night Lights went, feel free to text in. Starter Heyman text line 402-464-5685. We'll read that maybe a little bit later in the show. But, it was great to see because Nebraska had some 2023s get out there and do some different things. And you had Ben Bramer show up. And he, again, every time I've seen him in a workout setting, I'm just kind of blown away that he's only going to be a junior. Gunnar Gatula picked up an offer at camp, a guy that I know Happer and I have seen several times for Lincoln Southeast. And I would have told you that I thought he was among the most impressive linemen in that Elkhorn South game last year, which also featured Prohaska, Noonan, Maddox Burton. Didn't Southeast have another big lineman as well?
Well, the kid from Elkhorn South, who we talked about a whole bunch, but didn't end up getting an offer.
Isaac Zadichka.
Mm-hmm.
There's another one there too, but I mean, he was as good as anybody on the field that day. And so Gunnar Gatula earned a very worthwhile offer, for Nebraska Friday Night Lights camp. So you had that. You had the visitors were out walking around. You had different player hosts involved with it. Adrian Martinez showing around. Richard Torres. You had Casey Rogers with Nico Davalier. Nico told me yesterday that he can't explain why, but he's so glad they picked Casey Rogers. They hit it off instantly. He wouldn't have guessed that this, he's from Arkansas, this kid that's a lacrosse player from the Northeast that ends up at Nebraska, and they meshed really well. Damian Daniels hung out with Jalen Marshall. You had the Georgia running backs together and Gabe Irvin and Justin Williams. Chase Androff with fellow Lakeville native Bryce Benhart, who, by the way, which we saw this spring, Bryce Benhart, when he's around people not wearing pads, might be the largest individual I've ever covered.
Large person.
It's just stunning. He's standing next to a 6'6" kid, and he's just dwarfing him. And it's just like, how is this even how are you this large? Like, I've covered 7-footers, but he's just like, there's so much mass. He's almost one side of the line himself.
Corcoran's got a little bit of that too.
Yeah. Well, do you think they could just have Juergens move over to snapping from the right guard spot, and then they have a super side of the left line?
Yeah, guard tackle, but it's one person.
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, I would not recommend that.
It doesn't seem like it would work. Maybe for exactly one play.
I always wondered why in hockey they don't just put a really fat guy in the goal, so he just like covers up the whole goal. So we're along those lines.
Well, you'd still have to be able to move a little bit.
I'm saying you get a guy who covers the whole thing.
Could you get a guy that could do that?
There's 700-pound people,
and also skate.
You just put them on skates,
Fair enough. So here's the big takeaways from the weekend. I put in a crystal ball for Richard Torres. He's down to Nebraska and Kansas State. Visited Nebraska, obviously, this past weekend. Kansas State next weekend. I really like where this thing is headed. I think a decision happens before AJ Bianco comes out here. I think Nebraska ends up with him. And so then I doubt Bianco needs to make that trip. I don't think they're going to take both. Landon Sampson has a visit to Ohio State, and then he is going to make a decision. It's an unofficial visit for Ohio State. They have like 48 official visitors coming in and quite a few wide receivers. I don't know where he falls on that board, but it fascinates me that his two schools are Nebraska and Ohio State. And I like where Nebraska sits for Landon Sampson as well. Both offensive linemen, Valen Erickson, Ashton Craig, I think Nebraska did well with them. And then both defensive linemen, I think Jalen Marshall really liked Nebraska. His younger brother came and worked out on Friday. His other youngest brother was playing basketball at an AAU tournament in Lincoln. So the whole family was in Lincoln this weekend. And so he got done with his visit and he went over to this basketball tournament, and he really liked the facilities. It's out west of town. I forgot the name of it.
Speed.
No, it's the other one. I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen it before.
Yeah. And so he had a really good visit. He's going to go to Oklahoma State and Indiana. He said Arizona State's a possibility for him as well, and maybe a decision that could come before the start of the year. Justin Williams, I haven't caught up fully with because he wanted to get home before he did an interview, but he did tell me really enjoyed his time. Nebraska exceeded his expectations, loved the people. That's a guy that I kind of felt like was going to have a good visit, and certainly did. And so I think there's going to be several commitments that come out of this weekend. It might just take a week or two before you see them kind of trickle out. But all in all, good first start for Nebraska, and a great opening weekend. So we'll see what the fruits of that labor are, but I think Nebraska's pretty happy with how it played.
That was my takeaway from it too. And like I said last week, I think it's notable that those guys chose Nebraska for the first weekend, and Nebraska kind of chose them to be here too. So I think that means something, and they're going to have more visitors in this month. The story is not over yet, but I would expect this to draw a pretty good yield. I would say.
Yeah, I definitely agree. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll come back. We'll dive into what Happer saw in person in Fayetteville. We'll talk about Nebraska's chances, and we'll lead in with this question. When is the last time there's been a game with this much at stake for a Nebraska men's athletic program? We'll field some responses. We'll throw out some answers of our own, all that more here on the Recruiting Hour.
You're listening to the Recruiting Hour with Mike Schaefer and Connor Happer on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Mike Schaefer here with 5-star child care provider Lee Beecher from Bubbles and Blocks. Let's start with what makes Bubbles and Blocks special.
We have 3 beautiful locations in Lincoln that provide the safety, security, and reliability you need while also bringing a family feel to each classroom at every location.
I also hear some congratulations are in order.
Thank you. Yes, we just won the Lincoln Choice Award for Best Daycare and Preschool for the 3rd year in a row.
What should people do if they want to join the Bubbles and Blocks family?
Call to set up a tour to enroll your child today, or you can visit bubblesandblocks.com to apply to join our team.
Summertime is here and the temperature is rising. Beat the heat at the Pawnee Plunge Water Park in Columbus all summer long. Pawnee Plunge features a full day of fun for the whole family, including the Flow Rider, the only one in Nebraska, a large swimming pool, diving boards, a lazy river, climbing wall, and of course, massive water slides. It's a great place for parties or a great spot to lounge around all day long. Book your party by calling 402-562-4269. Come splash and play the Pawnee Plunge way. in Columbus from May 31st through August 8th.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Expect sunny skies. More warm temps will top out near 91 later this afternoon. A south wind at around 10 to 20. Overnight dropping down only to around 68 for the overnight low. More of the same tomorrow with plenty of sunshine. Highs again up to around 92. And expect the heat to last most of the week. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Get the best deals of the season on new John Deere planters and air seeders during Landmark's exclusive early order fast start seeding program now through June 15th. If you've been thinking about updating your seeding equipment, now is the time to lock in the largest cash discounts, best financing rates, and availability on planters and air drills during Landmark's exclusive early order fast start seeding program. Contact your local Landmark location for full details and experience the Landmark difference.
The Mercado by Certified Piedmontese Beef is Lincoln's newest full-service butcher shop, offering premium fresh-cut steaks and house-made sausages daily from 10 to 7. They exclusively carry certified Piedmontese beef raised right here in Nebraska. When shopping at the Mercado, you're not only supporting local, but also enjoying the official beef of Nebraska athletics. With prime-grade tenderness and unparalleled nutritionals, your backyard barbecue is about to get a serious upgrade. Stop into the Mercado today, located off 84th and Havelock in Lincoln.
This is Rico from HIS Auto Care. We offer full fuel service. We pump your fuel, wash your windows, check your oil, and check your tires at no additional charge. We're a general auto repair shop and offer a free 27-point pre-travel digital inspection by appointment to make sure you're good to go for the road. We are the headquarters also for your SCOFRO needs. Call today for an appointment, 402-488-8934, or visit us at 70th and Van Dorn. HIS Auto Care. We treat your car like it's your mother's, and it doesn't get any better than that.
Our Remington Homes has really expanded and taken off in the last 5 years.
Bob Benish of Aspen Builders, talking about their exciting new division, Remington Homes, which makes the home building process easier and more affordable.
The exciting thing about a Remington home is you get to choose your floor plan from predetermined floor plans. You can select your options. We give you a lot of choices. By selecting certain floor plans, they're just easier to build. And you couple that with our great lot selection in all different areas. People do not want to be married to their house payment. They want to get a nice house with nice finishes in a great area for an affordable price. And that's what Remington Homes are all about.
Home building is easier with a Remington home from Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at remingtonlincoln.com. remingtonlincoln.com.
One unforgettable event. One chance to get up close and personal with some of the greatest names in golf. One opportunity to create memories that will last a lifetime. Get your tickets now for the U.S. Senior Open. Coming to Omaha July 5th through the 11th at the Omaha Country Club. If you're looking for family fun for all ages, this is one championship you don't want to miss. For tickets, visit ussenioropen.com.
Back to the Recruiting Hour with Mike Schaefer and Connor Happer. Presented by Bubbles and Blocks. On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back to the Recruiting Hour. Mike Schaefer, Connor Happer. I am going to endlessly annoy the people that work here because I do not sit in the same spot coming back from break.
It's fine.
Starting the show.
The cameras are mobile.
The people are going to have to keep an eye on it. One of these days, I'm just going to sit from the corner where the Kleenexes are all the way over there by Happer.
Don't do that.
I might do a show from this coffee table that weirdly sits in this other corner of the room.
Don't do that. That's where our bobbleheads go.
The bobblehead table.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, bobblehead table. You might have to move to make room for me. All right, Mike. I still haven't talked to that neighbor. If you've listened to the drive like a week and a half ago, I nodded at him. I waved at him. He was outside the other day. I thought about going over, but I didn't. It's like there's just barrier in the street, and I just went to my mailbox to get my mail and quickly returned.
You're not going
to the safety of my house.
That's okay.
That's where I belong. Away from people. It's for the best. All right. Nebraska tonight. has an opportunity to punch a ticket to a super regional for the first time since 2005. I don't remember. Was that
Miami?
It was Miami at home, right? Yeah. So obviously this is a very, very large game. I was trying to think in the last decade or so, what other contests Nebraska has played in that have this sort of magnitude to them. And they're all regular season games, save for the conference championship game against Wisconsin, which didn't have this magnitude attached to it. Because yes, if Nebraska won, they would be going to the Rose Bowl, but it felt anticlimactic because you weren't playing the best team from the other conference. You were playing the team that was able to get in because of, sanctions. And then Nebraska ended up getting crushed anyways. So these are all regular season games. Like I feel like 2016 Wisconsin, Nebraska football, both teams, Nebraska was undefeated. Maybe Wisconsin had one loss going into that. That was an enormous game.
Great pick.
That's as close of one I can come up with within the last 5 years. The next closest for me, and the one that I would say is the most similar, would be No Sit Sunday because of what was at stake. And I feel in that one, there was obviously you had some days leading up to it. I feel like there's this kind of awesome sports tension that people who are really caring about tonight's game are having to live through as they go through their day today, because it's like, you got this huge game tonight. It could dramatically change what happens for your next weekend. It allows you to just dream, like, what if Nebraska goes on this run? And there's this other small part of it that we have no idea how good this Nebraska team is because they've only played teams in the Big Ten. Last night, they knocked off the number one team in the country. And they played them pretty well on Saturday, too. I mean, they didn't play well enough to necessarily win, but Arkansas has taken advantage of a lot of free passes from Nebraska. They've taken advantage of bad defense, which is what a good team is supposed to do. But for the most part, it doesn't feel like they're just going to come in and club Nebraska. No. It doesn't feel like their pitching is so good that Nebraska can't get good swings against it. Arkansas feels very human to me. That was kind of my takeaway Saturday was if Nebraska gets to that game Sunday night and if they get any pitching whatsoever, I think they can score some runs. And they didn't put up that many. They put up 5. They had some good swings last night that just found, outfielders. I think there's a couple times they ran into outs. But it feels like Nebraska's closer to Arkansas than what the reaction was when this draw was released a Monday ago.
Yeah. And it was hard to tell.
Well, yeah, you only had Big Ten players.
It was hard to tell, certainly. I thought Saturday, the first game against Arkansas, was really important. Because my read on the team coming out of that game was that they felt like they belonged. And that's super important. I mean, I think this is the type of team that's not going to be afraid. They're going to go face to face, whatever, toe to toe with anybody.
They love the underdog rule.
But you have to walk the walk. You have to go in there and do it. If you go get clubbed on Saturday and Arkansas is just toying with you, and you still win against NJIT on Saturday and then come back, you're not feeling very good going into that night game. So they put together good at bats on Saturday night. There were a couple walks and maybe like 5 walks, a couple defensive mistakes, stuff like that. They felt like they beat themselves on Saturday night. So I think that was important going into Sunday. And then they walked up there with, they were ready to go. So hard to tell exactly how good anybody is, but here's the deal. It doesn't matter anymore. Because
you got a ticket.
You're 3 games away from the College World Series. That's it, you know? So it doesn't matter who's across from you. And now you've beaten the number one team in the country. You got to beat them 2 out of 3. Nobody's done it all year, but you have a chance. And not many teams could say that they've even pushed Arkansas to this point.
I should have looked this up before the show today. How often has Arkansas been in a 4-game across the weekend scenario? Because they would have played certainly their normal 3-game sets with the SEC. I'm trying to think if I remember them playing anything earlier in the year in like the February and March when you're sort of doing a tournament, because if there is one good thing that came out of Nebraska's pod, they're kind of used to playing 4 games across 3 days.
They played Southeast Missouri 4 times in a row, Thursday through Sunday. They
were that's a CWS team,
regional team.
Yeah, regional team. Sorry.
Yeah, they beat them 4 times though. 3 there, 3 there, 2 there, 3 there, 3 there. Yeah, no, not really.
Yeah.
It happened once.
And I have no idea if that's valuable or not, but it's certainly Kevin Kopps has never been in a situation where
But they did play midweek games.
Yeah.
So that's
right.
That's a different thing too.
But he's never been in a situation where he's had to pitch 3 out of 4 days, and certainly not with as many times as he's thrown. Going over the weekend. I mean, I don't think they used him in an SEC series each of the 3 days. Like I think it was largely he would pitch Friday and Sunday, and then he'd have Saturday as an off day.
Well, I mean, he had that this weekend too.
Right. But now he's got to turn around and potentially would have to throw on Monday if they're in a situation where they need him.
Mm-hmm.
And so that,
but he's good there.
I'm not saying he isn't good. I'm just saying there's a difference if you have to be used 3 out of 4 days.
Sure.
I mean, we see that with the best relievers in baseball. Like you do need time off occasionally.
Yeah. There is that conversation. Like how much did the weekend only thing, prepare Nebraska for this moment? I just don't think, these are real live bullets,
right?
Right. And
I don't even know if it's
leashes
so much,
are short, and that's just different than it would be. And so I just think it's really unique. And luckily, I think, like I said, I don't think Nebraska's scared of that, but I don't know how much it really matters.
Yeah. I'm also curious, like I said, what does Kopps look like this 3rd time out? He's going to probably be in early in that game. I anticipate by the 4th inning, if Arkansas has a lead, he's pitching.
Yeah, I'm looking
bridge the middle innings.
I'm watching social media very closely to see if we see any surprises there, as far as maybe he starts.
Man, that would be,
because the key tonight is getting on top first.
Right.
You have to draw first blood tonight.
Well, and that felt huge yesterday too, because you got that home run from Hallmark, and it's like, okay, Nebraska's in the game.
Yes.
You get that. You got a shutdown inning from Perry right away, and Hallmark gets the home run in the second at bat of the bottom of the first, and it's like Nebraska's in the game.
Yep.
Like it eased whatever tension they may have had, and I was a little worried because they had so much emotion in that first inning. And it's like you played enough baseball, like you can't sustain that over 9 innings. But they were able to feed off of it enough early on. They settled into the game. They didn't play perfect, but they were able to outplay Arkansas. And it's going to be the same thing again tonight. Do you think the fact that Arkansas, they hit well off of New Jersey, and then their next 2 games, I think they have a combined 9 hits across 2 games?
No, they have not hit well all weekend.
And do you think that could play to Nebraska's advantage, or is it too hard without knowing what Nebraska actually has available to pitch?
It's just, it's a game 7, it's an elimination baseball game. I just don't know if anything that has happened leading up to this moment actually matters anymore. And I know that's like a real cop-out deal, but I just think it's drop the gloves and see who could scratch out 4 runs.
I think it's going to be high scoring tonight.
Yeah.
I would be very surprised if the total is under say 7 runs. I don't think anybody feels that great about what they have pitching wise. And I think that park, the ball was just flying on Friday.
Oh, it's a tiny little baby stadium. Get a real stadium.
Surrounded by a bunch of pig people.
Yeah.
So I anticipate runs tonight, which with the way Nebraska is hit this weekend, I like. If they have to go and win this game by out hitting Arkansas, that's hard. But I mean, I feel better about it than maybe I did going into Friday.
Same thing as Saturday. They're not, Nebraska's never going to bludgeon you to death, but it could be.
Tell that to New Jersey Institute of Technology.
They may bludgeon you to death if you're the New Jersey Institute of Technology, but they will put together really quality at bats, as they did on Saturday against Arkansas, that I thought was really key. And they're not going to go away. So I have confidence in their ability to score runs. I think they need to do a better job of stringing together some some hits in an inning
Mhm.
when they have opportunities, score those runs. So stuff with runners in scoring position, but I don't know. Like I said, like it's hard to pick a key or whatever for this because it's so. I mean, it's winner take all baseball, right? So you have to just throw everything out the window.
So with that being said, I'll throw some names. You tell me if you expect to see him pitching tonight.
Okay.
Cade Povich.
Yes.
Jake Bunds.
Yes.
Cam Wynn.
Yes.
Spencer Schwellenbach.
No.
That's probably it. I mean, Max Schreiber, you might see if you have to get to, if one of those other first three doesn't give you enough innings, but it almost feels like between Wynn, Bunds, and Povich, you have to get at least 8 innings out of that group. Like, I mean, I don't know. I'm guessing Povich is starting.
That'd be my guess too.
But you got to get 8 innings, and then we'll see. I can't imagine a scenario where Schwellenbach pitches unless it's like you need to get one out right now. Maybe you let him do that, but he looked gassed at the end of the game last night, and I don't think there's any way to put him back on the mound.
I think he gave him everything. Yeah. Everything. I'm actually curious now. Probably not because it's just it's a winner take all game. But I was actually curious last night if he would just DH today. He was just really fighting it there at the end.
What would that infield look like?
Cervantes would play short, which then you got to put Cervantes bat in the lineup, and I don't know if you want to do that.
His face took one last night.
Oof.
That was so. As it happened live, it's like, did he just bunt and get hit by the ball in the face?
Yes.
And it's like I couldn't tell if it went off the bat or if it was the pitch directly or what. Yeah. And then the way he went down is like he knocked himself out.
Yeah.
It was like a wild. And then you had people in the stands didn't know whether he got hit, whether
it was a foul ball.
It was a foul ball. Like you could see in the background of the television shot, this guy was just screaming at the ump to not allow him first base. Mm-hmm. It's like, I'm not sure what's going to happen here, but this Arkansas fan has completely lost his mind.
Oh, they all lost their minds. Their minds don't exist anymore.
Yeah. Well,
that's the environment though. That's where you want to be.
I kind of think, I know that the people in the stands aren't loving it necessarily, but there's got to be a part of Nebraska baseball that loves that they're in that.
Are you kidding me? Yes.
You wouldn't want to go and play in a regional where no one shows up.
Oh yeah,
like South Carolina for whatever reason they had nobody showing up at their games.
Yeah.
But yeah, so once in a lifetime experience. Very, very excited for that game. All right. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll finish up the show next. If you have questions, get those in. Sutter Heyman text line 402-464-5685, or let us know your thoughts on the game tonight. You feeling comfortable, confident, nervous? Let us know your thoughts.
You're listening to the Recruiting Hour with Mike Schaefer and Connor Happer on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Now's the time to schedule your air conditioner check with Bryant. Make sure it's ready to keep you cool and comfortable when you need it most. Bryant Air Conditioning and Heating. Call 467-1111.
Did you know Myers Cork and Bottle offers complete beverage catering and bartending services for everything from tailgates to weddings? Learn more at MyersWine.com or by calling the shop at 476-1518. And don't miss Thirsty Thursday with Kevin Meyer, Thursdays at 4:30 on The Drive.
We're in this together, and we will get through this together. The vaccines are tested effective and needed.
Welcome to the clinic with Charm.
Get your COVID-19 vaccine so we can do this. And this. And this.
We are now boarding flight.
Together again, because we got through it together. This message sponsored by the Helmsley Charitable Trust, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Mike Schaefer here with 5-star child care provider Lee Beecher from Bubbles and Blocks. Let's start with what makes Bubbles and Blocks special.
We have 3 beautiful locations in Lincoln that provide the safety, security, and reliability you need while also bringing a family feel to each classroom at every location.
I also hear some congratulations are in order.
Thank you. Yes, we just won the Lincoln Choice Award for Best Daycare and Preschool for the 3rd year in a row.
What should people do if they want to join the Bubbles and Blocks family?
Call to set up a tour to enroll your child today, or you can visit bubblesandblocks.com to apply to join our team.
Summertime is here and the temperature is rising. Beat the heat at the Pawnee Plunge Water Park in Columbus all summer long. Pawnee Plunge features a full day of fun for the whole family, including the flow rider, the only one in Nebraska. A large swimming pool, diving boards, a lazy river, climbing wall, and of course, massive water slides. It's a great place for parties or a great spot to lounge around all day long. Book your party by calling 402-562-4269. Come splash and play the Pawnee Plunge Way in Columbus from May 31st through August 8th.
This is Rico from HIS Auto Care. We offer full fuel service. We pump your fuel, wash your windows, check your oil, and check your tires at no additional charge. We're a general auto repair shop and offer a free 27-point pre-travel digital inspection by appointment to make sure you're good to go for the road. We are the headquarters also for your SCOFRO needs. Call today for an appointment, 402-488-8934, or visit us at 70th and Van Dorn. HIS Auto Care. We treat your car like it's your mother's, and it doesn't get any better than that.
Get the best deals of the season on new John Deere planters and air seeders during Landmark's exclusive early order fast start seeding program now through June 15th. If you've been thinking about updating your seeding equipment, now is the time to lock in the largest cash discounts, best financing rates, and availability on planters and air drills during Landmark's exclusive early order fast start seeding program. Contact your local Landmark location for full details and experience the Landmark difference.
Back to the Recruiting Hour with Mike Schaefer and Connor Happer, presented by Bubbles and Blocks on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back one final time here on the Recruiting Hour. Mike Schaefer, Connor Happer, 93.7 The Ticket. All right, Happer, do we have texts? Do we have questions? Do we have thoughts? Do we have concerns?
Lots of thoughts.
All right. What are the people thinking?
Let's see. You mentioned the tension. Frost said that the tension is awful. He said the least productive workday of all time. Either outcome is both awesome and terrifying. Kevin in Southwest Lincoln says Arkansas has 9 hits in 2 games against Nebraska. We have a lot of self-inflicted wounds so far and are still even with them. If we could play a cleaner game, we definitely have a chance to keep it close and win. They don't intimidate us at all, which I think is really notable. Let's see. Kent says your best player has to be playing defense tonight. There's a recruiting question if you want that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Chris, what does Nebraska's portal board look like after Tyreek Johnson? Is there space for Vandenberg?
Well, Vandenberg wouldn't be a portal guy. He'd be part of the 2022 class. Let me check on that just to make sure, because I think he'd have to reclassify into 2021. He's listed on 24/7 Sports as a 2022. And just to clarify, Jordan Vandenberg, one of the guys who picked up an offer this weekend, along with I think Jake Pastore, an offensive lineman in Colorado that is 6'9". I'm told that's as much as I can tell you.
That's tall
about the offensive lineman from Colorado. But Jordan Vandenberg, originally from South Africa and then ended up in Georgia, now at Iowa Western, 6'3", 280-pound defensive lineman. Nebraska offered him. Iowa just offered him after a camp workout. I think Nebraska's very interested. I don't think he's available for the 2021 season, but Nebraska would have 2 spots. So even if they took a Tyreek Johnson, they'd still have a spot available if they wanted to use it and if he was able to reclassify. I don't know if he is, so I can't speak to that. But they would have room for him, just as they would from anybody from the portal. But as we've kind of talked about, they want, I believe, a defensive back, and then we'll see kind of what that last spot could be used for, whether it is a defensive lineman, offensive lineman, really kind of the best player I think they could pull.
Kent, what was the issue with the mojo and the booing?
Allegedly, Mojo shot the bird to the
did not happen
to the left field crowd. That's all I have heard on it. I don't know. I mean, I know that but I've been told that he had been basically harassed the entire game.
Here's the issue.
That family was harassed the entire game.
Here's the issue, Kent. It's a really tough place to play. It's intimidating. The people will just pick out. Think about old. This doesn't really happen a whole lot here, but college basketball student sections, right? They have their scouting reports on where they feel like they can get under players' skins, their skin, where they feel like they're vulnerable. We're talking about stuff in their head, right? It's a mental advantage. So the story was made up about Mojo flipping people off. Didn't happen. And those people out there they want to get under your skin. So that's the story, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and
they don't like the opposing team. Like I don't know. I'm really comfortable. Like I enjoy that this has kind of turned into a little fun rivalry weekend and that whole thing. But this is what it's supposed to be. It's not like it's not like we have to, sift through the entire thing. It's fun. Right. It's sports.
Yeah. No, and I'm fine with that. Like, I do think there's some lines that you probably shouldn't cross.
Yeah.
In addition to that, sounds like that has happened a little bit, but
what's the line?
What are the lines?
What was the line? Okay. So like, I don't know.
It sounds like if law enforcement's getting involved for the protection of people.
I did see some people getting kicked out was that last night? So I don't know what happened there. So obviously that would be across the line.
So like, obviously, within reason, basically. But yeah,
sure.
Good old fashioned sports hate is acceptable.
It's great.
And we promote it. We want it. So now what else we got?
Nothing as far as questions are concerned. I don't think. I'm sweating hog-sized bullets. Do we have a chance? Talk baseball. This is a good one. Is Woo Pig Suey worse than sit down? I paid good money for this ticket.
I think
that's really good.
I think that the Vandy Whistler is more annoying to me than the Whoop. So I had that Vandy game on last night.
They're just
at the end of it, and it's just like it was giving me a headache.
I'm telling Arkansas is just weird.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if it's annoying. It's just weird. You know what? Like so they do the Woo Pig Suey whenever, and that's their only chant that they have.
Right.
They call the Hogs Woo Pig Suey Razorback. Okay, so they have that. They all put on weird hats when the bases get loaded.
Your tweet about that.
I'm not kidding.
They all have just an extra hat available?
I swear to God, I didn't see any of these coming into the stadium. So they all pull them out of their butts, and it's a huge top hat, and it's a beer. It looks like a beer mug, and they all put them on when the bases get loaded.
Okay,
I don't get it. It's super weird. It's just a really weird place.
Yeah.
And that was basically my conclusion, my takeaway of the weekend.
So Bruns was writing his story yesterday, and he was asking me if I remembered when they called the Hogs in the 9th inning. And so I had just left my TV running, and so I just rewound the last 45 minutes and went back and rewatched the top of the 9th. And for some reason, like knowing that Nebraska was going to win, knowing like after Schwellenbach walked the first guy and that's when Jeff Christie came out, like seeing these old people excitedly get up to call the Hogs, it just was killing me.
It's just weird.
It's so funny. Like when you just isolate on just random people in the crowd, it's just.
But I'm all for the
bonkers.
passion. I like you said, there's a limit, but I'd rather have it this way. It's a lot of fun. This is what it's supposed to be about. And guess what? They're nervous.
Oh yeah,
they're nervous.
Yeah. All right, 30
Nebraska's
seconds.
got nothing to lose.
Prediction. Or you have your own show. Maybe you want to save it for that.
I don't really have a.
Biggest game of the day. Happer has not.
I love to talk about it. I don't know. I guess I don't like their chances all that much, but I don't know.
I expect a lot of runs. We'll see if I'm wrong on that one. Give me Nebraska. What the hell?
All right, let's do it.
Since 19